Alright, y'all, I'm back again. This is Shalawam 127. And basically, I'm sitting in the park, as y'all can see. Just trying to enjoy nature, enjoy probably the last month of really warm weather here in Chicago. And just enjoying nature again, enjoying God's creation. And I wanted to talk about, over the course of this video series, I wanted to talk about my journey into the truth up until today, and where I'm at. So I had another video that I might post, I might not, where I was trying to get into the swing of things, but of course I haven't quite found my angles yet in regards to where I like to shoot, because I'm doing this off my phone. So everybody know how that phone camera is. It's a little weird. So my head look real big right now. But yeah, going back to 2013, basically what's been going on is I was talking with the guy, the janitor, and this is at Marshall. So talking with him, and he brought up something interesting. He's like, yeah, so you want the truth? And I'm like, what you mean? He was like, you go to church and things like that. And I was like, yeah, I go to church, but I told him, I was like, I'm kind of out of it right now, because I'm like, man, it's like I got so many questions that I need answered, that I researched. And I said, when I went to my pastors, they couldn't give me the answers. So I'm like, could I really even trust them? Or no, better yet, not trust them, but I'm like, y'all supposed to be this authority or authoritative figure within the church, but I got these answers that y'all really can't answer. So I'm like, I can't really go to y'all for that. So that's when, he gave me a couple of videos. He linked me a couple of videos to watch. He's like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do for you. He wrote them down. He wrote about 3 videos down. He's like, look up this, this, and this. Research, and then come back to me like a couple of days later. I'm like, okay. So after I did that, I got back with him. We talked for a little while, and basically I'm like, all right, so I looked at the videos that you wanted me to look at, and man, they got a lot of truth in it, man. Tell me some more. And so from that day forward, and this is it was either 2013 or 2014. I can't remember the exact year, but it was one of those. And from that moment forward, we became pretty close, as he became somewhat of a tutor for me to help me get into the truth and to help me along my spiritual journey. And it was like, man, it was like throwing gasoline into a fire, because from that day forward, the knowledge that I amassed and the wisdom that came with it, it grew exponentially. So that was really a big help. And I thank God for introducing me to this person, because he knew what I wanted. I wanted to know more about the scriptures, and he made it possible. So I want to thank God for that. And this is back in 2014. So if I post my first video, just to bring new viewers up to speed, what I was talking about in my first video was basically introducing myself, Jerron127, and then talking about basically what I'm gonna be talking about throughout this channel, which is how I came into the truth, the Word of God, of course, different scriptures, different visions and dreams I may have had, and up to this point. So going back 6-7 years up until our current point in 2020, and then any future revelations that I may have. So with that being said, in the first video, basically how I got started into the journey and the truth. Like, I did start in the church, a traditional, AME church. AME stands for African Methodist Episcopal Church. So that's how I got my start. Doing all the speeches, doing all the programs. I did Stations of the Cross 3 times, where I had to play Christ 3 different times, 3 different years. And so, I had a good foundation already. But there comes a point in your life where it's just not enough. It's just not enough. It just wasn't enough. I'm like, man, I need to know more. I need to learn more. I've been doing this all these years, and I feel like I ain't know nothing. So that's where that came. That's where the curiosity came from. So it's this network called Paranormal Network, because I've always been curious about the supernatural, ghosts, aliens, and ghosts and aliens, extraterrestrials, cryptozoology, Bigfoots, and all of that. I've always been interested in that. So that's pretty much what that curiosity led me to, which was Paranormal Network. And that's where I did, I watched a couple of videos, did more research, and that research led from one thing to another, which led me to basically the Hebrew Israelite culture, where I saw originally some old hieroglyphs of black people. And everybody know in Hollywood or Hollyweird, or even around the world, really, what they show you, biblically speaking, they'll show you all these people, they white, blonde hair, blue eyes practically, straight, somewhat curly hair, and it's not really representative of those people of that time. And that's one thing I always have to explain to people. I always got to explain to people that the things we have today, Israel, Egypt, and all these other places, the people that are there today, they didn't necessarily look like that several thousand years ago. Y'all understand me? So that's one thing that people have to get right. I'll use this as an example. If you were to backtrack 500 years in America, North America, this country right now, there were no black people like us. You know what I'm saying? There were no black people in regards to so-called African Americans. That didn't exist yet. You know what I'm saying? That didn't exist. Latin America as we know it today didn't exist. And the Brazilian culture as we know it today didn't exist as we know it now. Basically back then they were all native Indians, Tainos, this, that, and the third. So that's a very prime good example that it doesn't take thousands of years for a people to develop and for a people to change. It only takes a couple of generations. No more than 100 years.